Greetings, fellow Empyreans. I am Ashtarothi, the voice of New Eden. And it is January 6th, YC127, and I am discombobulated. Hey, Zoe, you wanna say hi? You're just gonna stand in everybody's way. Hi. Over here. Say hi. Hey, hi, Zoe. This is Zoria, my co-pilot, who feels like standing halfway on my table today. Good morning! Happy New Year! Happy holidays, all that stuff. We are past it all. Look, it's Zoe's butt! Oh boy. All right. Well, 07 to everybody. It is YC120. Did I say 126 or 127? It is YC127. Whew. I was hoping to be able to stream over the Christmas break, but that ended up not happening. I did end up recording the New Eden news, but it didn't get edited out all the way, so I think I'm going to just do a rereading of it today. Today, we do have quite a bit to go over. We don't really know a lot. Well, we have some ideas about what's coming soon in EVE Online. We have the hints that something big is happening. We're going to look into some of that. But a lot of today is going to be kind of wrapping up some of the stuff that we've missed, so that way we can be prepared for what it is to come across all of CCP's products. So we're going to talk about EVE Online and the Drifter developments. We're going to talk about EVE Galaxy Conquest in Season 2. And if we have time, we'll also be looking at the EVE Frontier white paper to get some information about that. Uh-oh. Something caught her eye. Okay, she's gone now. All right, great. How's it going? All right, I've got my coffee in my mug. Let's go ahead and settle in. Did everybody get what they wanted for Christmas? That's an important thing. One thing I do want to point out, like, we actually haven't gotten a lot of stuff while I was gone. Case in point, if we go to HoboLeaks, we can see that the last major update on HoboLeaks has been 20 days ago. So, and that was just the change of the Gauss liminality locus. Apparently you don't lose standings now for killing the war post. That's interesting. Nope, didn't get a Jamil. Yeah. Oh boy, that's right. We got that to talk about too. We do have some EVE Galaxy Conquest news to talk about. For sure. You got a better job for Christmas and modeling tools. I like modeling tools. I mean, better jobs are good too, but I've got a great job thanks to you guys. Speaking of which, if you want to help make sure that I have a great job, feel free to sponsor, support the channel through Patreon or membership, or pick up some merchandise like this wonderful mug. It really, really helps a lot. And I didn't get a Jamil for Christmas either. I did get a Jamil prior to Christmas, but not for Christmas. So, before we begin anything else, do we have any other, like, big EVE news to talk about that I missed? I don't think so. I think we looked at all this stuff already. Yeah. All right, well then, let's just jump into the first thing. We'll start over, so that way we can make our segment and everything. Greetings, fellow Empyreans. I am Ashtarothi, the voice of New Eden, and this is your New Eden news for YC126. Wait, what? I read it off of the thing instead of the way I always say it, and then I got confused because I just got done saying YC127. Let me try that again. Greetings, fellow Empyreans. I am Ashtarothi, the voice of New Eden, and it is the New Eden news for December 20th, YC126. Federation releases evidence of future drifter attacks. President and FIO warn of future threat. The Galente Federation has declassified documents that they claim prove a major drifter attack is on the horizon. These documents have been published as a forecast report and contain details of Federal Intelligence Office operatives into drifter activities. The documents were shared following a joint announcement by President Celis Agard and FIO Director Aspiset Orvignor. According to President Agard, the document contains evidence of a credible drifter threat. She explains that the fact that this report has been made public was, quote, a sign of how seriously I take the dangers of the forecaster outlines and the importance of our preparations. When this attack will materialize is unclear, but that it is coming is undeniable, end quote. Director Apiset Ovignor added that, quote, the FIO is dedicated to the security of our citizens first and foremost. The decision to publicly share this information was not taken lightly, but President Agard and I agree that hard choices will have to be made in the near future. For those choices to be successful, the people of the Federation will need to understand the reasoning behind them. Agard finished the press conference by adding, quote, our evidence strongly suggests that the coming crisis is the direct result of the Deathless Circle's irresponsible use of Jovian artifacts. From their occupation of the Fulcrum to their activation of the structure known as the Warden, their greed has put the cluster at risk. If it were not for the reckless action of the Drifter forces, would have continued to remain dormant. As such, we will redouble our commitment to stamping out any Circle influence within Federation space, end quote. Forecaster documents under the microscope. The documents, which the scope has carefully examined, are still heavily redacted. What has been shared begins with the investigation into the Atavum following a retrieval by an FIO agent in October. The details of the operation, along with the agent's identities, are redacted, with the codenamed Wade being the only identifier. Following this operation, Gallente military scientists have been conducting an investigation into the Atavum and their hyperdimensional connection to the Warden. According to the declassified documents, these same connections that link the Atavum to the Warden show signs of activity prior to periods of heightened Drifter deployments, such as their recent attacks on the Deathless controlled trust breakers. Through means that have not been disclosed, this has led the FIO to believe that they can predict a large-scale attack coming in the future. These readings are also combined with reports that changes amongst Drifter and Drifter-controlled sleeper drones inside of wormholes. With much of the documents still redacted, it has not been possible for the scope or any institution we've reached out to independently verify their results. That said, if accurate, the information contained is certainly cause for alarm. Nations react to forecaster report. Federation elections postponed. President Agard has called an emergency Senate session. The session ended with a narrow passing of a vote to suspend the upcoming presidential election until the Drifter crisis has been resolved. The vote passed thanks to surprise support from the Labor Populist. The Labor Populist Party has explained that, quote, while we remain critical of President Agard's policies, the security of the Federation comes first, end quote. Over last year, the Gallente primacy terrorist attacks led by the former Labor Populist Senator Thibault Taylor has damaged the party's reputation. Recent polls suggest that if the election had gone ahead as scheduled, the Labor Populists would have experienced a significant loss in seats. Empress reaction unclear. The Amarian Ministry of War and Ministry of Internal Order has issued official responses that they are, quote, taking Forecaster under advisement, end quote. Since the siege of Zarzak, concerns over rising Drifter activities have been raised within the Empire. These began when veterans of the Amar Drifter War petitioned the Empress. Royal heir Hamideh Kador has joined the pleas, suggesting that the Empress, quote, put the preservation of our people first, end quote. Empress Caddis I has released a brief statement in which she assures the Amar people that, quote, their prosperity and safety are her highest priority, end quote. Sanmatar criticizes Federation. Meanwhile, in the Mimitar Republic, Samatar Malatu Shakur has criticized the Gallente for, quote, fostering panic, end quote. At a public address in the Great Caravanserai, he assured the Mimitar people that, quote, we remain vigilant, but at the same time we see no need for immediate response, end quote. Thucker Chief Enar Abel called the Samatar's address bullish optimism. Many of the caravans in the Thucker tribe, especially the Volakat, has observed changes in Drifter deployments that they say contend indicate rising danger. The Samatar has stated in response that he appreciates the Thucker's concern, but that so far the Drifter activity has been entirely targeted at the Deathless Circle. Caldari prepared defensive response. In a surprise move, the Caldari State Chief Executive Panel has accepted the Federation's warning with swift and decisive action. On receiving the news, Chairman Akimaka Saraki called the emergency meeting of the CEP, and a motion to create a special task force was passed 6-2. The Calakiota and Sugavesta corporations of the Mountain faction were the only panel members to oppose the motion. Calakiota CEO Harakan Oriitsu called the motion hasty and stated that, quote, such action should not be taken at the word of our oldest enemy, end quote. Following the meeting, Chairman Akimaka Saraki read the statement saying that the, quote, survival of the state comes above all. While our war with the Federation continues, we have gathered our own evidence and believe that the Drifter threat to be credible. It was not too long ago that another advanced and hostile group attacked our citizens and occupied our worlds. We will not risk such an outcome again. We will not let the cacophony of war deafen our ears to the rising winds. End quote. News in brief. Protests break out across Cali following decisions to delay election. Local law enforcement mobilized to quell violent escalation. SOCT reports DA's Limit Alley locust traffic increases as stellar emissions in Pochvan and Triglavian minor victory systems approach irreversible threshold points. Insider sources report sudden escalation in Harada Oki communications within the Fulcrum and the Warden. Kana Kingdom meets with Amar Navy admirals to discuss joint operations. New Yinmei opera star's performance as Seng Do Kui finds unlikely audience in Luminaire youth. Concord reports Capsulier's success against Sancha forces in metaliminal storms. Modern revival of Solinit Kulitov tournament on New Caldari draws record crowds. House of Records cites concerns over national security after taking over School of Applied Knowledge research into sleeper drone AI. And that is it for your Nuida News on December 12th, YC126. Now for some analysis. This is an interesting one. This is definitely like a big... The important thing to note is that this was put out at the end of last year, at the end of 2024. And it was the final thing that they did before kind of the new year. And they've done this sort of thing before. I remember in 2019, they had the tease that the Shield slaves were coming in the next year by showing like the Sancha logo at the bottom. And they had a couple of teases that there was something coming in the next year, and as a way of kind of biting us over as we got to that point. And I really feel like this is a big piece of that. You know, Revenant came out, and it had some pretty cool changes. The new ships are cool. The mercenary dens have been, you know, being proliferated throughout the cluster. So far, Revenant has been fairly successful at what it was trying to do, but it really wasn't trying to do much. And it didn't feel like the story was matching what the actual expansion was about. And like, it really seems like Revenant is about this thing that is coming. You know, the storm is coming. This is the pause before the great conflict. And so this post really feels to signpost for us, the players, that, hey, there's a big thing going down starting next year. It's time to start paying attention, right? So a big piece to this is, one of the things I pulled out of this is that it says, they say, where is it? President Egard and I agree that hard choices will have to be made in the near future, but those choices to be successful, the people of the Federation will have to understand the reasons behind them. Now, protesting from the population in Galente has been very popular recently. We first had the takeover of Intaki by Federation forces that was wildly unpopular and caused protests. Then you see the Galente primacy start to rise up, sort of out of a reaction from that, but also just broadly a reaction to like greater Caldari aggression and perceived weakness within the Federation. And now what we're seeing is, also President Agard, she passed a big resolution that was about automating the workforce, and that was seen as also highly controversial, especially among the labor populists, which are the very people who kind of saw the rise of this terrorist supporter, who is no longer a senator, and now they are supporting her efforts. So the delay of the election could be considered a big deal, One thing to bear in mind is that the last time that the election occurred, it was also delayed, but it was delayed because of a series of terrorist attacks. That was in 120? Is that it? Was it 120 or 119? Hold on. Uh-oh. When was the election? Wait, this is way too early. Oh, that's one YC120 is 2018. Oh, this is why I shouldn't do this live. All right, hold on. YC122, January. Yes. Okay. So the election was supposed to happen on the 28th and 29th because, leap year. However, on the 27th, there is a series of terrorist attacks. Celis Agard survives assassination via backup clone. Governor Agard recovering in a secure location. Shailene Ramnov in critical condition in Arterial City General Hospital. Ramnov's aircraft made a hard landing with cabin impact. Savio Belleron placed in medical coma to reduce risk of neurological damage following apparent exposure to chemical warfare agent. Wayaki Kayara slightly injured in foiled attack in Manar Veterans Associates and Manar Signade. One veteran hospitalized, terrorist dead. Republic command offensive on Flosis Win. Oh, nope, that's normal stuff. Yep. So there was this big attack, and it caused a delay in the Galente elections. However, for the purposes of this conversation, I think it's important to note the actual dating of this, which is that the elections for the Galente Federation are supposed to happen in February. And this says that the elections have been delayed until after the Drifter crisis has been resolved. So this implies that I would assume that this is going to start before February, because if it was after February, then you wouldn't need to suspend the election. In fact, this seems like it's extremely imminent. So like January, this month. But it also implies that this is likely going to last more than a couple of weeks, right? Because again, why delay the presidential election via vote if that's going to happen? So this kind of helps give us a little bit of a timeline that says, okay, well, this is whatever this is going to start within the next month or two, and it's likely going to extend for a little while. So I expect whatever it is that is coming to be on the scale of at least something like the Shadow War, where there were, new sites and everything like that. But another thing to pay attention to is that we have been like CCP has been experimenting with a lot of little tiny ideas, and they tend to do that before doing a big update that utilizes those ideas in a more cohesive way. So we have things like the phishing from the rifts. We have the trust breaker arrays, and experimenting with home fronts and low sec with the trust breaker arrays and the the siege engines, where different turn-ins are components of the different fights and can spawn different rats depending on what it is that you provide. There's a lot of little tiny mechanics that they've been playing around with that I feel like could be subcomponents of whatever it is that's coming. Now, it's also worth noting. Now, here's the kicker on this one, okay? I legitimate. Hold on. What am I going to do about this? Hold on. What, there were skins titled The War for New Eden. I thought. I could swear I saw that before, and I just assumed that it was easy to find, and now it's not findable at all. But there is suggestions that there is this, like, cluster spanning War for New Eden coming with ship skins from all 4 races. Oh boy. I don't know what I don't know. Actually, let's see. Can we do that? No. Nope. Dang it. Hopefully Malik or somebody can help me out. Anywho, so the point of the matter is that there is obviously a pretty significant event coming, and that's what they're talking about here. Now, one of the things to pay attention to is how each of the different empires are reacting to this, right? Obviously, the Federation put this forward. However, there is some suspicion about that because, oh, speaking of which, another thing that I probably should have had set up already, but let's remember that a lot of this death list stuff all started because of a certain dude. Leopold Envalari. So Leopold Envalari was a member of the Senate. He may actually still be. Yep. According to this, which so far they've actually done a pretty good job of like making sure that Leopold is done pretty accurately. They even moved him when it was time to do that. But Leopold Envalari is still technically a member of the Senate staff, even though he's been found to be a agent of the Deathless. He was he was the point of contact for Esri Hokuzutsu when she was spying on the Caldari Navy's project to revamp the Phoenix. And the implication is that Leopold was also related to the is this it? No. Yeah, so he directly implicates himself in this raid by of the Caldari information. The line is the Peacock told me he'd request another operation against the Artaris. I think it's a mistake. I told him as much and he laughed it off. He'd think he's drunk or high. Actually, but you never know about him. I don't think a merc like him is running. I don't like that a merc like him is running this op, but Rabbit made him the connection back to the nest. Sparks told me he pulled a job against the feds that the Black Eagle don't even know happened. Hard to believe. So I've talked about this before, that like I strongly believe that this thing that they're talking about happening was the FIO dossier. So there was an FIO dossier that was put out about the Serpentis Capital ship buildup that then got leaked to the Deathless, who then sold it to Upwell at the time. And so the implication is that Leopold has been embedded in the Senate and secretly working with the Deathless for quite some time. Right. So the point is that the Federation seems Of the 4 empires, the Federation seems to have the strongest connection to the Deathless Circle through Leopold, right? They still haven't gotten rid of him. He still has a tendency to every once in a while show up in Valor for a period of time, etc. And like there was theories that the Deathless Circle was a big part of what allowed the Federation to catch up during the Shadow War. Now, not to dismiss the hard work of myself and others who were working for the Federation in the Shadow War, but there was an implication because there were there was the Guristas, sorry, the Mimitar Angel smugglers that were also raiding stuff to sell to somebody, which probably was the Deathless, but also, well, certainly was the Deathless, but also could have been the Galente. So I don't know how much I believe this idea that the Galente are this against the Deathless on a secret level, on like the FIO level, right? The Federal Intelligence Agency. So it is entirely possible that this whole thing is more or less a setup in order to delay the elections or for whatever else reason. One thing I thought was kind of funny and interesting. So the FIO used to be, well, the FIO Black Ops Division, known as the Black Eagles, is ran by a guy named Mentis Black, who did run for election last time, but not this time. And yes, Mentis Black runs the Black Ops, right? Ha ha ha. Nominative determinacy, right? Must be just a cheeky thing. CCP usually likes to do things with the names of stuff. And what caught my eye as I was trying to figure out how to pronounce her name is the name of the current FIO director, Epicet Orvignoir. And the reason why is because, like, noir means black in French, and the Galente are French. So somebody who knows better French than me might be able to correct me, but I have a feeling that this character's name is a play on words about being associated with black as well. So there is a decent enough chance that there's some sort of like back-end conspiracy theory that we may or may not ever know about that has anything to do with this. One thing I will say, so like this thing here about the agents getting the Adivum in October, this is actually thanks to the hard work and effort of the Galente Federation loyalists within the militia. I know I was talking to Spoons, who's a proud Galente loyalist, and about how they managed to capture one of the earliest Adivums from the caravans being assaulted and brought it to an FIO agent at a drop-off. And that is how they got the information. And this is a good example of how players sculpt the story. Would this have happened without them doing that? Probably. Would it have been the Galente putting out the information? Maybe not. Would they have specifically had this credit? Absolutely not. So, like, the players had the little things, and they role played it out. You know, they got the Adivum, and then they posted on, I think, the in-game channel, in-game forum, in-character forums, and got instructions about the rendezvous, and then rendezvoused with an NPC actor and gave it to him. And now there are follow-ups about that, and that's how we collectively write the story together, right? You know, obviously the universe is big, and these empires have their own agendas, and they're pushing things forward, but we interact with it and can easily shape the texture, if not the direction of the way things are going. Hey, what's up, Ikawaruzu-chan? 07. Noir is hurt in Catalan. I'm right though. That's noir in French, right? Hold on. I can't spell. No? Am I wrong? No, wait. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Do I not? Oh, it's with an I. All right, well, then I'm totally wrong about that. Let's go ahead and drop that entire line of thinking when it comes to the FIO director, I guess. It was just something that when I was trying to figure out the pronunciation, French pronunciation is always so problematic. Any rate, so anything else in here that's worth paying attention to? The one thing I do find interesting here is that they have it in all of these cases. They have a tendency to mention a secondary character, perhaps because they might be important eventually. Because you've got the FIO director, but then you also have Hamade Kador for the Amar. You have Inar Abol for the Mimitar, and then you have Hadakan Oritsu for the Kaldari. Hadakan, by the way, low key, like she's one of the few survivors from the Empyrean Age Templar 1 days. You don't get to hear from her very much anymore. But yeah, there she is. And the other interesting thing is, so within the Mimitar are coming out against it. So the Galente are for the report. The Amar seem mostly neutral about the report, but towards favoring it. The Mimitar appear against it, even though the Thucker chief seems to be upset that they are against it. Now remember, the Thucker, like a big chunk of the Deathless Circle, is a Thucker clan. The Harada Oki Thucker caravan. And the head of the caravan master of the Harada Oki was recently meeting with the rest of the Thuckers and with the SOE during the festivities in Thera, I think it was, not too long ago. The Kaldari are taking it very seriously. Which also seems odd because they would normally not want to be supportive of the Federation, but it is true that the state had the worst response to the invasions, and Akimaka Saraki literally made his fame during invasions. So I was trying to think, like, of course the Mimitar don't necessarily agree with the Galente right now because they've had a falling out, and Amar is kind of in favor of the Galente because they had a falling out, or because they've recently had better trade agreements. But the Kaldari being supportive of this is really interesting, especially since they indicate that it's their own, they have their own intelligence on it. Also, especially since the House of Records is doing research into sleeper drone AI, which is what's caused them to have concern. The School of Applied Knowledge. That's a Kaldari one. Okay, so it's a Kaldari organization to a Kaldari organization. The House of Records is almost like the FIO for the Kaldari in the fact that, like, a lot of the shady stuff is associated with the House of Records, including Archive K. But yeah. Other than that, let's see. The Dawes Liminality Locus is from the patch notes, which we saw earlier. Insiders report sudden escalation of Harada Oki communications within the Fulcrum and the Warden. One of the interesting things is that while they were doing all of these other updates, they added Harada Oki caravans inside of wormholes. And every once in a while, people find them. Hold on. Here's a picture from Reddit of the Harada Oki bivouac, found in J161246, which We can Google real quick to see it is a C2. And it looks pretty normal. It looks like a pretty normal C2. It's got a low sec, or sorry, a W space. It's got a C2 and a low sec static. So nothing particularly fascinating about this particular system, but it is the one that the bivouac was found in. From my understanding, it moves around from system to system. So I wonder if that is what they are communicating with. If the caravan is going around and doing things in wormhole space tied to the Adivum, which is tied to the Warden, and now they're coordinating and communicating between them, right? Kana Kingdom meets with the Navy admirals to discuss joint operations. Fine. The Kana Kingdom has always been kind of part of Amar, but not part of Amar, and have been integrating more and more over time. I know that the Khanate has been dealing with like the Caldari and has been doing suspicious stuff in Iridia. So, but it's hard to say exactly where this is going. The new Yinmei opera. Now, the Deathless actually got his start with the Chandeli Civil War, including the Yinmei. And I believe that Celis Agard is also Yinmei. So, the Sangdo. Actually, now that I think about it, hold on. If we search for Sangdo. Sangdo is the mass opera. Here we go. Although Yinmei society is highly stratified with 3 primary castes and many subcastes within them, the culture has several means of easing tensions between the difficult groups. Traditionally, one of the most popular means by which caste divisions were prevented from boiling over into conflict was the Yinmei mass opera called Lan Bei. A form of opera remains highly popular at every level of Yinmei. Yeah, so the Sangdo are the leadership caste. So what they're saying is that like this opera, which is promoting the Sangdo, I assume, is finding popularity within Luminaire, which of course Luminaire is like one of the Galente primary, like that's where Galente and Caldari Prime are. And so I don't know whether or not this is implying like increased sympathy or at least tolerance for the Sando. I know that the Civil War has more or less been over ever since the Deathless pulled out his men in like 2017. So I don't know. And then Sancho Forces and Metal Liminal Storms. This was, of course, the winter event. I have no idea about this tournament in New Caldari. But that's about it for the New Eden news for today. Obviously, this is a little bit late coming out from when it was published. But I think that it was still very important to go over it because it does forecast for the future. So with all that said, let me know what you think down below. What is coming? Do you think that this is in relationship to the upcoming expansion, or is there something else going on with an event? What are you hoping to happen? And if there is a war for New Eden, which side are you going to be on? But with all that said, I've been Ashtarothi, the voice of New Eden. And until next time, I'll see you in space. All right. Cool. That's the first thing. Let's talk about other stuff. No, don't leave. We're not leaving. That was I do closing stuff for edited videos. Like that segment is going to get cut out. But then we keep going. That's what the Okay. Most of you guys probably don't know this anymore because this was like an old thing. But back in the day, I can't even remember who it was, but like when I started to wrap up my shows like that, they would freak out because they thought I was leaving, and then I'd be like, no, it's okay, I'm leaving, and then they asked for a special signal to let people know that I was going to keep going. And that's where this fish swimming thing happens. So when you hear, if you see me say, you know, like goodbye or whatever, and then you see me do this, that means we aren't actually leaving. Okay. Just future reference. Just to Ash resetting the tinfoil hat. What did you guys think about that? Oh, shoot. Fuck. Hold on. I'm not done. I'm not done. There's one other thing I want to talk about this thing right here. Which is, so there's actually more to this. Boy, this is going to make editing this really fun. So when the trust breaker arrays started happening, really? Where is it? Hold on. Oh, wait, hold on. No? Hold on. I got to get this sorted out. This is even going to make it worse. What the heck? Hold on. Okay. The names of the drifters were mentioned in the New Aiden news. Ah, here it is. It was when they were doing the siege. Tyrannos Tecton. Okay, he's only mentioned there. Got it. All right. So during the siege of Zarzak, we have a name given. Drifter forces in the besieged gate systems have deployed never-before-seen structures that are generating incredibly powerful space-time warping fields. SOCT telemetry indicates that these fields are attempting to disrupt and ultimately breach the horizon. Designated as Horizon Breach Engines, the structures are under control of a single drifter, Tyrannos Tecton. What we are witnessing, Sphere qualified, is a hyperspace siege. So if we search for Tyrannos Tecton and we go to okay, that's not there. Got it. So thank you to Michael Minate for this. Also, if you go into the drifter hives right now, you will find, first of all, it seems to be that there's a lot more Apollo Tyrannoses running around, but then there's also Tyrannos Tecton inside the very heart of the nexus of the drifter hive. There was a description. They have the description of Tecton. Nope. Oh well. The description of Tyrannos Tecton says that he is the master builder for the drifters. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Yeah. A battleship piloted by the vigilant Tyrannos' master builder, ready to destroy any who disturb his work. And so they did add a new rat, a new bad guy, a new Tyrannos in the heart of the drifter hives. And it drops a new item, the incomplete Warden projection. An incomplete set of higher dimensional mathematical projections originating at the coordinates for the Warden and Zarzak. These calculations are attempt to map connections across hyperspace. So, given the fact that, Tyrannos Tecton is the master builder for the drifters. He worked on the drifter siege engines and is for some reason dinking around in the Nexus at the heart of the hives. So likely they are setting up a character to be kind of the Zoria Triglav of whatever is coming up, right? His stats in game appear to be the exact same as the drifter battleships that were used in the previous like drifter high or the siege engine sites, which is a little bit weaker than the previous Apollo Tyrannos, but definitely has a primary strike cannon. So be careful when dealing with these things. Yes, Dutch Gunner was, and Air Talker Research Consortium was kind enough to let me tag along this weekend, so that way I could go see it for myself. There was some other weird behavior with the Tyrannos Tecton. It did seem like there was more drifters than normal, and also it seemed like the drifters were coming to the Nexus faster than normal. Not only did the Tecton seem to respawn relatively quickly, but as soon as we killed the Tecton for the first time, a drifter Apollo immediately warped in, and it seemed a little bit out of phase for their normal like patrolling. Too early to tell per se, for sure, but there's definitely little bits and pieces that are being placed in without really saying much to anybody about it. That's correct. You did write a report about it in the in-game in-character forums. Where? Let me just pull that up real quick. And by the way, if you ever get a chance, like, you should absolutely go and jump in on the Drifter Hives. We host them, and Arc hosts them with Dutch Gunner. They're a lot of fun. The ships are not very expensive, and like people seem to have a blast with it. You get to see a bunch of cool sights, and you get somewhere like 75 million ISK for your time and effort. All right. Yeah, here is Dutch Gunner's report on the matter. We went into the Conflux Hive. Let's see what he has to say. Partially in response to the report of the future Drifter attacks, I've led a fleet on behalf of ARC to explore Drifter Hive on the 4th of January in the year YC127. We explored the Drifter Hive classified as Conflux in the wormhole system of J200727 pulsar effect. The report will be about initial findings and assumed to have some knowledge and general layout in different rooms of the Drifter Hives. The main focus of the fleet was exploring and checking for any changes to the content of the Drifter Hives. We checked the structure within the different rooms and composition of the sleeper and Drifter entities within the hives. The initial findings are that there have been no visible changes with regard to the layout of the particular hive and the structures within the different rooms. That's correct. There's also nothing new or interesting in any of the cans that I hacked. We have observed a change with regard to the composition of the sleeper drifter entities within the hive. Before entering the unknown wormhole that connected to the drifter hive, we observed 3 drifter battleships that would appear and approach and disappear through the wormhole. This is something that has been observed for the last few years and does not seem to have changed. No new drifter entities were encountered compared to previous years. Upon entering the first room of the hive, we did encounter sleeper entities that were not seen in the hive before. We will record. That's right. There was a whole set of them. We will record classifications in future explorations, but they have been previously reported on by Michael here. Yeah. So there were Stirring Duru, Risen Akontia, and the important thing here. Wait, this says Tyrannos Tecton there. Wow, they fought all these guys in the Nexus, it seems. So one of the things that's interesting, all of the ships that we saw, I looked up the names of them, and the weird words on all of them, they were 2-1 named after Greek weaponry. So there you go. The group was only encountered once, and after its destruction, no replacements were encountered during the roughly 2.5 hours that the fleet was operating within the hive. That's right. We ran the hive 3 times, so there was 3 total respawns of all of the major rats, and yet we only encountered these guys once. The second change was encountered within the Nexus room of the hive. In this room, the fleet encountered Tyrannos Tecton battleship, an additional drifter battleship. The Tecton was in the middle of the debris field and had been observed scanning pieces of debris. Its location provided some difficulties, but we were able to destroy both drifter battleship and complete fleet operations without taking any losses. Unlike in previous exploration runs, the Tecton and additional drifter battleships do seem to keep getting replaced within the Nexus room. The Tecton was seen within the debris field every time, and the additional drifter battleships outside of the debris field. The Tecton was observed to always move with a speed below 400 meters per second. That's right. It never actually got faster. And when I looked up its speed, it looks like that's about what it should be. Yeah, it actually respawned while we were still in the room, which was pretty wild. The exact time between destruction and replacement will be recorded in future explorations. The current estimate is it would have been 10 to 15 minutes for both the Tecton and additional drifter battleship on an individual basis. This means that it is now possible to encounter 3 drifter battleships in 2 locations. This has been known possibly for the room. This has been a known possibility for the room within the hive structure. In this room, you will encounter the Hikanta Tyrannos with 0 to 2 additional drifter battleships. It can now also happen in the Nexus room if the roaming group of sleepers and drifters visit the Nexus in addition to the Tecton and additional drifter battleship. If this happens within the Nexus, I recommend to deal with the other drifter battleships and sleepers before dealing with Tecton. This is due to the added difficulty of the debris field with regard to successfully dodging doomsday weapons from the drifters. I agree with this, but also because, as I said, Tecton appears to have slightly lowered stats compared to Artemis and Apollo. And also, Tecton does not scram. Does not do warp disruption. The destruction of the Tyrannos Tecton resulted in the recovery of incomplete Warden projections. The incomplete Warden projections are being described as, and he reads it. This could imply that the drifters are trying to find an alternative way into Zarzak, and as there is a previously unknown purpose that this debris field in the Nexus room could serve for the drifters. This is mere speculation on my side and concludes my report at this time. I plan to do more explorations of the drifter hives in the coming weeks and months for further observation. So make sure to be on the Arataka Research Consortium Discord or my Discord to get involved in those drifter hives. The one other thing I want to note about this is this spirally arm thing. They're commenting about the fact that they thought it was moved. However, ARC had bookmarks placed throughout the pickup sticks, and they said that the bookmarks were all in the same location. So the pickup sticks had not actually moved. It just looked like that based on their camera angle in these pictures. So there is certainly something going on here. But now, for realsy, that's what I have to say about the topic. We will, make sure to follow the stream and subscribe so that way you get more as soon as it comes out, and like and comment and all that sort of stuff, because that helps get this stuff out there to more people to help raise awareness and literacy of EVE Online, because that's what we're here to do, raise the literacy of EVE Online, because a better EVE Online player base equals a better EVE Online. So with all that said, I've been Ashrothi, the voice of New Eden. Until next time, I'll see you in space. Okay. Still can't skills confessor for those expeditions. Vigilance work. Guardians work. Command ships work. Okay. Oh boy. All right. Now then. What else do I have to talk about besides this? That. Okay. That's it. All right, cool. Let's go ahead and do this. All hope has died. Hold on. Where is it? Oh. Hold on. Where is it? Fuck. Oh, it is working. Okay, great. All right, guys. Ooh, let's talk about Eve Galaxy Conquest. All right, guys, for our news for Eve Galaxy Conquest today, we have good news and we have bad news. The bad news is we're going to start with that. I don't know how relevant this is anymore because the Christmas event is over or whatever, but at this point I just need to let people know because this was absolutely absurd. All right? So as many of you guys know, I have been enjoying the hell out of Eve Galaxy Conquest with my friends. I've played on multiple servers. I've made guides about it. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Hold on. I've made several guides about it and plan to make more. I do really, really enjoy the game and believe in it. And I was hoping that with the known quantity of like CCP being the people that manage it, that maybe the worst of the predatory practices would not actually manifest, right? You know, how could CCP possibly be worse than an actual gambling company when it comes to how they manage and monetize their game, right? That was what naive Ashtarothi believed at one point. However, and like in a lot of ways it feels that way because you get a lot of stuff. Now, love bombing a new player by giving him a bunch of stuff is a very common thing in in free-to-play games. It's a pretty important component to it all, right? You just inundate them with free stuff at the very beginning, and then cut it off, and then expect them to continue to pay for it, right? And so the fact that this game gives you, I mean, I think I did the video the other day when when we were talking about my 33 thing. By the time we got to week 2 or 3, I had saved up over $200 worth of tokens and tickets and stuff to pull. Now, on the one hand, that shows exactly how generous they were with the free stuff. On the other hand, it also shows how little they respect money, like the actual money that's being provided to them, when you compare it to in-game effort, right? So you get all of this stuff for free or by in-game effort. Then if you want to buy more than that, the cost is quite a bit, which feels like it shouldn't make sense because it's like, well, why would I? In fact, this is arguably one of the reasons why I have all of these accounts, right? Like, if you look, I'm on all these different servers. I'm not actually actively playing on all these servers. I just kind of did the first little bit for each one of them, enough to get like the 30, 40, 50 polls for free, and then pulled them and saw what I got and saw if any of it was interesting. And anytime I get the compulsion to buy some tickets to open them up or something like that, might as well just start on a new account, play for an hour or two, and then open up, over $100 worth of tickets, right? Because if we go into the recruitment thing, we can see that a ticket is 400 Plex or Nova credits. And if we try to buy quantum credits, we can see that like that's like $5, maybe $4. Yeah, it's about $4 a pull, right? Because 100 credits, roughly 100, roughly $1, right? Maybe a little bit more. Not quite. A little bit more, but you get the point. 120. So this is like $4 or $5 per pull, almost $15 for a pull of 5, which means if you need to pull 30, that's 6 times that. So $90 to guarantee a legendary without any given thing, right? So when you're pulling all this stuff and you're getting bunches of Nova credits and stuff from everywhere, you get through it, and then you want to use money to push you just a little bit further, suddenly you need a lot of money to push you a little bit, just a little tiny bit further in effort when it comes to this kind of stuff. Now, if you spend a lot of money, as we talked about during the free-to-play game, there's other rewards and other stuff like that, right? However, oh yeah, shoot, I waited so long, it's now no longer here. Do we have a picture? Does anybody have the picture of the Christmas event? Hold on. This may not work out well because there's so much text talking in these chat rooms. We had just done a whole episode on whether or not the free-to-play was worth it with the rigs and everything like that. And then they came out with this Christmas event. Now, you would argue that traditionally you would expect Christmas events to be like, usually game companies give you a little something for Christmas. It's Christmas, right? And, there's this kind of traditional thing where game companies give you something of little actual game value, but just like a neat cosmetic thing or a little toy or whatever, skins, whatever, what have you for Christmas. And invariably there's people bitching about what it is that they got for free. And then there's a bunch of people that are like, God, I can't believe someone's complaining about getting free stuff. Well, the good news is that they avoided all of that this time. The bad news is that they did it by coming out with the absolute most dog shit event you could possibly have come up with. Not only is there, like, the only gift that was there was so if you go and look, oh, it's not going to be here. If I go to another account, when I switch to this one, you'll see that like anytime that they do a free, or not a free, but a specialty pool nowadays, they also have these special packs that come with it, right? So if you look on the right-hand side, there's a store, and there's all these different packs that have the ability to get a bunch of them for a pack. And each one of them comes with a free one, which has 50 Plex and a couple of speed ups and a little bit of ISK, right? This is nothing. You actually get 50 Plex every single day for logging in, as long as your corporation is halfway competent, right? By tapping on this every day, you get, well, at least at the stage that we're at with level 22, I get 8 of the coins, 50 Nova credits, and 45,000 ISK. So I got less than one of the daily rewards as a free gift for this. And that is the same exact free gift that they gave for the Christmas event, which is Basically, so when I say, like, I'm not complaining about them giving away free stuff, because in my opinion, they didn't give away free stuff. They only gave away, basically what they did was they put out a specialty pool that could only be purchased during that time period, just like a lot of the other specialty pools. And with the specialty pools, it came with a packs to be able to get them easier, and it came with that free one thing to get you to go look at the packs with the stuff in it, right? Except for the Jamil packs weren't actually random, like pulls. They could be. You could theoretically spend it on that. I'm trying to find the market. Hold on. I know I'm close. Rather than having it be, so basically what is that you can pay premium currency to buy special coins during the winter event that you can then, here it is, found it. This was the entirety of the Christmas event, guys. And technically you could scroll down and there were a couple of other things down below that you could get, but this was the big stuff and it's important. Okay, so first of all, 2 of these tokens cost 1 ticket. I can't remember. Wait, does anybody remember how much was a single coin? I think it was 100. Pretty sure it was 100 quantum credits. And that was the first thing that's important to note when it came to this. It was 150 credits. Okay, there you go. So this was not Nova credits, okay? Nova credits are the credits that you get in game. Nova credits are the one that you see everywhere, right? When I'm trying to recruit here, Nova credits. Recruit there, Nova credits. When I buy this stuff, none of that's anything. When I try to recruit here, Nova credits. When I try to come here and speed something up, Nova credits, right? Nova credits are the credit that you spend to do things. Quantum credits are the currency that you buy, right? You can't pay cash for Nova credits. You pay cash for quantum credits. And then you convert quantum credits into Nova credits to buy everything else. Now, this is, again, another one of those things that a lot of free-to-play games do. Because the idea is that as long as it's a quantum credit, then it's still theoretically like something of that's worth monetary value, right? Like I can see here and be like, oh look, this much quantum credits, $5, right? But as soon as you start converting it into other currencies, you've now taken it away from what you bought, right? So, like, for instance, if you buy if you decide to buy a bunch of speed ups with your Nova, you pay a bunch of cash, and then you get a bunch of speed ups, and then you spend all of those to upgrade your headquarters on day 1, right? And then you get mad because your headquarters gets reset at the end of the season. Well, the problem is that you didn't pay for those speed ups with Nova credits or with the quantum credits, which is what you paid for. You exchanged that for the Nova credits and then exchanged those for the speed ups, which means that you got what you paid for, regardless of how you feel about it. And, the other thing is that, like, they can sometimes sell things for quantum credits that aren't sold for Nova credits. Like, for instance, these bundles down here, we can see, these cost quantum credits. So this is valuable to CCP because 2,560 Nova credits isn't terribly difficult to get in the game. But 2,560 quantum credits is impossible to get in the game unless you've spent real-life money. But if you see this, this store is tied to real life money. So that's what this is supposed to be. It's supposed to be an efficient way of being able to spend the quantum credits that you bought here, right? Now, we go back to this. This does not take Nova credits. This only takes quantum credits. So this requires you to spend real life money. There's no amount of in-game effort that makes you even a mediocre of effort or progress in this event. You can't slowly but surely earn the coins. You can't even earn the credits to buy the coins. Nothing. You either pay money or F right off. That's part one. Part two. Somebody might have already done the math. 150 Nova credit, or 150 quantum credits. So basically, let's call it $1. Let's call it $1 a coin. Now, there are bundles that made this a little bit more efficient. Let's say the bundles double the amount that you get, because with the bundles, they kind of did, because they come with a certain number of the coins and then also quantum credits. So if you then spent those quantum credits on more coins, let's just, for the purposes of 90 cents a coin was the math, even assuming the packages. Either way, we're going to just assume for a second that you could get twice as much efficiency. So we're going to call it 50 cents a coin. Okay? They say it's 90 cents. I'm going to say it's 50 cents a coin. That still means that Jamil, they want you to buy Jamil for $400. Not only that, but first of all, they misspelled, they call her Clement, which is really weird. But I'm leaving that one behind. They want 400 of your dollars for this legendary. This actually runs a huge red flag for me. And here's why. If you go into your inventory, you can get these legendary data chips. And it says, can be used to exchange for legendary commander files or ship blueprints that you already own. Note, Dragoon, Apocalypse, and Jamil are not included. And the Jamil part of it was always very odd to me, because it's like, well, the other two are dudes that, hold on. The other two are the pay-to-win characters, right? Like if we go to store and we go to Concord Honor Report, we get, hey, look, there are the Dragoon bits. There are the Apocalypse bits. So they don't want you to be getting ahead on the free-to-play stuff, or sorry, on the pay-to-win stuff, using those tickets. That tracks. But why would Jamil be on that? Why would Jamil be on that list? And so the assumption was, at least my assumption was, is that earlier in development, Jamil was a specialty character, and then that got changed, and that's just like a relic of that. However, with this being true, this brings up a high suspicion. Everything that we know about Jamil is now in suspect. Because first of all, her like powered up abilities are insanely strong, but she's also very rare to get, right? On your own. Now I got her on my own, but I had to start on 8 different servers, and therefore open up at minimum, call it 300 to 400 tickets in order to get her, right? So getting multiple copies of her to get her red stars up, absolutely insane, right? So you would need to get her, find a more consistent way of getting her stars up. Jamil files, 100 coins for a Jamil file, right? So $400 or so for her, for the actual champion, and then 100 coins each for a file. So if you don't know, if you pull a duplicate of a champion, you get the extra files for them. Nope, that's not going to work. So you can see here that I have an extra copy of Krugar, just recently got one. So when you get an extra copy of a guy, you get 20 files. And if we look up, we can actually see here. Let's God damn it, I already did it to all of them. We're going to take this paladin and we're going to reset him. So it took me 68 files to get him leveled up. And so we can go 2, 4, 6, 8, 12 for 1 star. 4, 8, 12, 16, 21 more for 2 stars. And then 5, 10, 15, 20, 35 for 3 stars. So you would need 65 or whatever Jamil files to get 3-star Jamil. So to 3-star Jamil, they want 6. So 100 coins per one, and you need 60 of that, 65 of them. Means that you're looking at spending somewhere between $3,000 to $6,000 to get Jamil to 3-star. Knowing that there's almost no other way in the game to guarantee, pro tip, build a turret next to your base to destroy those event fleets. That's actually a really, really brilliant idea, Tom. Thank you for that. And Cozy, like I've seen Cozy around too. Good dude. That's a lot. That's a lot of money. Can you imagine spending $3,000 just to unlock the upgraded version of a person? Of course, you know, you might as well spend the $400 it takes to get her at this point. But also remember those packages that make things more efficient. Those are only get one. So once you're past those packages, which gives you just barely enough to get Jamil, you're on your own, man. You're just paying 150 quantum credits per token to get the Jamil files. But the worst one, in my opinion, is this middle one, the Stellar Crown Matrix. Okay? If we come into Jamil, she has an ability. 55% chance to inflict Admire and Fear on a commander for 1 turn, with each status determined independently. Admire, unable to deal damage, reduces all attributes by 3.8%. Stackable. Fear, skip a turn at the beginning of battle, reduce all attributes by 3.8%. Stackable. So this is core to how she is so powerful, right? And this implant right here increases the chance of her inflicting the Admire status, I think it was, by 25%. So it just makes her functionally more powerful, just straight up. And to remind you, this thing costs 1,350 quantum credits, or of the winter coins. So for $1,000, you can buy an implant that upgrades one ability of one of your pilots on one of the servers of EVE Galaxy Conquest. I don't know about you, but I would be so depressed. I don't know if I could, like, I don't know what I would do. Like, I couldn't. I'm not trying to talk bad about anybody who made the choice to actually get this thing, but I don't know if I could, like, look myself in the eye in the mirror if I spent $1,000. I could have gotten a video card, but no, I bought a minor upgrade to a single pilot on a single server for a mobile game that's pretty new, and we don't know if how long it's going to last. That is insane. That's insane. And so this was it. This was the entire Christmas event. Now, what makes this even worse was that they never even mentioned that there was going to be a Christmas event per se. we were all freaking out because like season 1 had ended for almost everybody like almost a month ago, right? Everybody's waiting on season 2. They did the season 2 name that ship, like they were sampling. Oh god, yeah, the fact that these say 11% off and 60% off, even though these are the only time that you can buy these things, like that also is like predatory as hell, right? Anyway, like, so we're all waiting on news for season 2. They said they were going to announce the winners of the Guess the Silhouette contest. Then they didn't announce the winners. They didn't announce the winners for an extra 2 days. And then during this time, while nobody is telling us anything on the Discord, iOS updates, and in the patch notes it says starts Christmas event. That is the only reason why we knew there was a Christmas event happening, and nobody would confirm anything. Nobody knows anything until this pops up. And this is the entirety of the Christmas event. There was nothing else. There's no skins. There's no Christmas presents. There's no cool like lights around your station in game. Nothing. The entirety of the Christmas event is this store. Merry Christmas. Give us a lot of money. That is the most grinchiest thing I have ever heard in my entire life. And yes, it is over, but I need to talk about this still because I can't let them forget that this just sucked. Now, they have done, like I said, they've been very generous largely across the board. But if you're going to be a mobile game company and you're going to do the mobile game predatory practices stuff, and it popped up, it didn't actually happen every time you reloaded the game. It happened once every downtime, I'm pretty sure. But like, if you're going to do this kind of predatory or like this kind of like, if you're going to embrace the free-to-play game style, then you've got to embrace both sides of it, right? Raid may want a lot of my money. Raid will happily take $50 of mine, give me a kick in the junk, and say, you should have spent more, right? And I expect that out of Raid. But you know what? If the game goes down for 5 seconds, they give us a little pack of an apology, right? With some energy and some multi-battles and stuff like that. If they do a downtime, there's rewards. They give out free prizes like at least once every week or two. Like little codes that you can put in to get free stuff, right? Free pulls, whatever. For Christmas, for crying out loud, they gave us, in their world, about $40 to $50 worth of free pulls. Raid Shadow Legends is owned by a gambling company. How is Evil Galaxy Conquest being less generous than Raid Shadow Legends? And, you know, I honestly think, like, I'm gonna take a step back. Well, it was owned by a gambling company. You're right, they sold it. Doesn't change it, my point. It was a gambling company when they did those things. Here's the thing. I don't actually think that CCP is this horribly evil, greedy company. That this is just some sort of cash grab or whatever. They have put a lot of effort into this game. The game is fun. I want to be able to keep playing it, and I want it to be successful. And they have, by the way, announced Season 2. We'll talk about that in a bit. I think that this was a mistake. CCP historically has not shown themselves to be this hyper greedy, hyper, you know, whatever company. What they have proven to be is relatively incompetent, especially when it comes to promotional publicity kind of stuff. I think this is them stepping into a new world, and like I can tell, I get the feeling from everything that has been going on, from a lack of responses from them, the updating mostly being bug fixes about different character abilities and such like that, the late delay on merging of the pre-registration servers, the long delay to figuring out how they're going to do the resolution of season 1, the seemingly manual process that is having to go through in order to get to season 2, the lack of announcements about, or, this lack of fleshed out Christmas event, all these things kind of play to the fact that, as I've mentioned before, I think that this game, still needs to prove itself to CCP's eyes. And I think that they're not, this isn't a mobile game company. They've never ran a mobile game shop before. So mostly they're just looking at what other people do and are trying to somewhat emulate that. And I want to believe, I choose to believe in my heart of hearts that this was a mistake, that they did not intend for this to be taken the way it was, that, if this had been a 4th of July event or a Halloween store, we really wouldn't be that as much upset by it. Christmas, of course, has a very special gift-giving, goodwill towards man vibe to it that traditionally games respect. And I think that CCP's lack of respect for that just comes more out of ignorance than out of maliciousness. However, that definitely needs to be proven out now, right? Now what they do now is going to be really, really important. We are entering into season 2. They have announced season 2, and we can actually to me, it feels like there's one dev and one game designer. Well, no, okay. So part of the problem is that most of the people that actually built this game don't speak English and don't live in American time zone, right? Because it's made in Shanghai. So there is naturally going to be a language barrier. So like a delay in information, I understand that, right? The fact that it might take a day to go from question to answer, for example, that makes sense, right? But that isn't what we're experiencing either, right? Like, I don't know about you guys, but the GMs, bless their heart, they're trying their best. Like, I've had GMs say, oh yeah, I'm going to look into that and get back to you. They don't get back to you. Or at least, not that I know of. And not in a lot of cases. So I feel like, first of all, I think that the GMs are being left high and dry a lot of the time. But yeah, they don't really have a good interface between the development team and the world. So I'm hoping to be able to like interview or talk to some people that might be able to clear up some of this stuff, because it's just like Eve Frontiers, right? Like I was talking about during the NDA discussion. In an absence of information being put out from official sources, we just have people making up whatever the hell they want, right? All these accusations about AI art or AI development, or, the fact that this is supposed to be this way, or blah, blah, blah. Like, players are being able to control the narrative of what we believe, because the game developers aren't putting out a message to rally behind, which is unfortunate. So either way, yesterday or the day before, I think the day before, we officially got on the 3rd, we got our end of new, wait, is that really that bad? Hold on. Oh, what is the rest of this for? I don't know. eFrontier is a lot better once you get into the NDA areas. That's right. But my point is that, yeah, actually, ironically, eFrontier under NDA is very communicative comparatively. But I had an answer today. Our guidelines is to not disclose this information. So here's my question, okay? This is a very simple one. Uh-oh. This is my latest question that I've been waiting on for multiple days to get an answer to. Mentis Black has a 3rd ability. It reads, inflicts dust trap to all your wings for 2 turns. When your wings receive damage, you have a chance to inflict particle dust on a single enemy wing, 120% damage, influenced by tactics for 1 turn stackable. But the level max says, inflict dust trap on all your wings for 2 turns. When your wings receive damage, you have a chance to inflict particle dust on a single enemy wing. 120% damage, influenced by tactics for 1 turn stackable. In other words, this ability, as written, is exactly the same at no level, or at level 1 as level 15. Now, I've noticed that before about like the Algos, but that's just like a ship ability that you need to upgrade with ISK. This is, in my opinion, a much bigger deal. But more importantly, I think it actually does have an effect. I think it, I think that it increases the chance of it triggering. But how do I know that? Like, am I going to have to test it on like 100 different fights in order to check the percentage chance that it's firing off, and then level it up in order to check the percentage? It should tell me what it is. Still haven't gotten a response about that. So I will return when they let me solo gank miners again. You should be able to solo gank miners. A miner in an untanked mining barge should still be gankable by a catalyst, right? Anywho. So we do have Season 2. Season 2 has Hatakon, the Kalakiota CEO that we just read about in the New Eden News from today. We have Kelm. We have the Oracle. And we have the Thunderchild. Now, of these, the Thunderchild is the only one that wasn't already in the game. You can actually see Kelm already. In fact, if we go to season missions, rewards, main crate, view details, we'll see the Oracle is there. Wait, yeah. Hatakon is here, and Kelm is here. So these have been unobtainable until now, but they sort of, I guess, hinted at their existence by putting them in the end of season reward box. But what's even weirder is that isn't 100% true, because if you go to events, oh, we can't do it now. You pick a different server? Am I on any server that could do it? Maybe 36 isn't done. Same for all. Attribute influence damage by how much? Help us figure it out. Yeah. How much influence, like tactics influences and all that stuff. That is also an unknown. But the point is that I don't even know what leveling up that ability does. I do not know if I should put 15 levels into it or 2. You know, that's my problem. When it comes to the tactics thing, I just know that higher tactics is better. Okay, come on. No? Oh, I didn't earn it, I guess. Why is it red then? Yeah. So we can see that Kelm is supposedly the defender of Jita. So we've seen him here the entire time. I need to click to the right of it. I don't know. Oh. I need to click to the right of it in order to claim it. Oh. I just need to click it 50 times to claim it, apparently. Somewhere in there. One of them was right. Either way, hold on. Let's open up my free stuff. See, I get a free thing. This is the same free thing that I got for Christmas. Merry Christmas. No good? In the comments down below, tell me, how many people back out every single time so that way you can see the thing, in this case, not turn yellow. All right. Either way. That's right, Punch. I strongly believe that doing that does increase the number of legendaries that you get. I actually stopped doing it for a little while, and I stopped getting as many legendaries. So I think it's something. Anywho, so we got new commanders, new ships. We got brand new gameplay to set up versatile fleets. I don't actually know what's going on in this picture. This looks like it appears to be the new, like the same, like the fleet management window, right? Oops. Oops. It's this window. However, we can see that there, right here, there's an extra box. So let's go look at that. So we can see that there's an extra box with this girl, who I don't have any idea who she is or who she could be. One of the interesting things about it that was pointed out is that these stars are not the same as these stars. In fact, these stars are actually closer to these stars. See? See, this is a 3-star. You can see it's a 4-pointed star. However, if I go back to that preview, is that being picked up? I don't think so. All right. Her stars are the 4-pointed stars. She's also down here. And also this says brand new gameplay to set up versatile fleets. So whatever this is, it doesn't appear to be just another captain, right? Another pilot, because she, like, that wouldn't make any sense. That's just, this thing says new commanders. So whatever this is, it must be different. One of the theories is that this is like your pilot. Like, so here's your commander, and this is like the fleet's pilot, but it's hard to say exactly. We don't know. We don't know yet. And then it says, unyielding resistance. By losing your home base, you'll be captive instead of relocated. And total war. Corps in the same faction will not be friendly anymore. So this is two big things. One, right now, if you lose your HQ, it gets moved to a random place in your high-sec area. However, this means that they will be captured instead. The assumption, based on what they had talked about apparently before release about the possibility of this capture mechanic, is that that could take you out of the game for up to 24 hours. There's been a lot of people complaining about this. I'm hopeful it translates to the ability to change fleet formation outside of the home base. That is super optimistic, given it doesn't suggest that. But you're right. I think that that is an important thing, especially fleet formation. Maybe not like commander, obviously, but like you should be able to change your strategy without going all the way home. Anywho, so, and then also, like, I had suggested that all of the people in the faction should be friendly and be able to work together. So you have like this esprit, like this reason for there to be secondary corps that support the primary corp, in the same way that like Imperians was the second best Galente corp under the then 13th Legion. But this is going to mean that everybody starts out as hostile to everybody else. So as soon as you join a corporation, you're at war with everybody else that's in any other corporation, unless there's some sort of diplomacy that is being done. I think that this is a workable solution. We have no idea about timers. Somebody has told me that originally they had said it was 24 hours. But again, this was like something that they were mulling about earlier. So you're right. It could be nothing about a timer. It could be something you have to be rescued. Who knows? But it is not just relocating. So the making factions not friendly anymore is, I think, an easy solution to a complicated problem, which is like, if you are, I don't have a good example on this server anymore because of the way that we've decided to do things. But you know, the guys who are red on my screen right now are not actually hostile to me. We're doing like a Thunderdome thing. So just pretend like it's teal, like they're allied, they're Galente, but not part of the same corporation as me. The problem is that still will make it so that I won't be able to, well, I might be able to go through the Stargate, but I wouldn't be able to like begin to proceed to the other side because I don't have a blue cell to build on. So, you know, like in server 33, for example, we had a guy defect from our team that effectively made it so that all of the Stargates were now locked out from our primary corp. So we couldn't actually travel to LowSec because we didn't have control over any of the Stargates. An ally within the same faction did. So because that, we would have had to declare war in order to be able to attack those Stargates. So I think that this problem of allies stepping on each other that we've seen in earlier servers is fixed by just not letting them be not having them be allies in the beginning from that you know, from the beginning. It does kind of get away from like the idea of like, why do we even have factions necessarily that we're associated with? Like, why are two people that are both supporting the Galente at war with each other? But, you know, we'll see how these changes play out in the long run, I suppose. Now, as far as the capturing thing, there have been a lot of people that have been really upset about this because they're like, oh my God, making it so I can't play the game for 24 hours or however long it is. That's so stupid. But the problem is that we're talking about a war, right? We're talking about conflict between players. And in a world in which we are effectively immortals, right? We can just, you know, if you kill my entire fleet, assuming I have enough components, in about 6 minutes, when my fleet has been done being injured, I can put them back into battle at full strength right away. If you capture, and there's no real way to prevent this. Now, if I have my station right next to the thing, I can just keep putting them out. And if you take out my station, that puts it back in the back line. But I can still deploy my people down there and keep pushing them out, right? Just fine. And move, I could even move my gantry again down there and just keep on going, right? It doesn't disrupt anything. And so the problem is, and this happens in Eve too, you know, like you're grinding against each other. And this has actually been happening in 33 a lot, where like I push back and then they push me back and I push them back. And, you know, when we're hitting each other, it's just grinding into each other with little hope for some sort of strategic strike for victory. So a good allegory to this is asset safety, right? Asset safety in Eve is designed to make it so that you don't actually lose your stuff when you lose your station, but you lose that stuff for this particular fight, right? It takes 5 days to do a normal asset safety. It takes 20 days to do asset safety outside of, you know, if it has to go to another system, right? So that's enough time that whatever conflict is going on between those two people or those two groups, that conflict, it gives the attacker enough time to capitalize on that lack of equipment and assets. It effectively destroys the equipment for the purposes of this engagement, right? So in the same way, like now, if I was fighting a dude at a Stargate and like I'm constantly having to deal with this guy, we could in theory find his headquarters and take it out to temporarily take him out of the fight so that way we can make progress. So it does provide a new level of strategic gameplay that may allow even a weaker force to do significant damage to a more powerful force through harassment, right? Like, if they're going after Jita and I want to be a complete asshole, we could start going after their main headquarters as soon as they're doing that to give them something else that they have to focus on instead of attacking Jita, right? We could, like, it doesn't have to be the direct conflict. If you want to harass somebody while they're off doing something else, you can murder all of their backline, and that actually does some real damage to them. And I think that actually is pretty good. Oh dear. Anywho, where home bases do not relocate when there's not enough space in high sec to relocate to. I mean, you're absolutely correct. I mean, there could be the technical problems and stuff like that with it too. But my point is that I'm looking at it from a design point of view, right? Like, I think that they're solving their other problems. I mean, it could be that there's all three of these problems are what's being addressed by this. For sure. That's silly? What's silly about that? Like, that is an absolutely, like, that is a viable, like, that is good counterplay, in my opinion. When your opponent is punching you, hit their strike their backline. Anywho. So yeah, I do plan on doing more EVE Galaxy Conquest stuff. As I've said before, I want to do a full review of the season now that the season is over. So chances are later this week, we will go ahead and do that. And I just realized we're already 2 hours in, and I haven't even started my tutorial class. So I think for today, instead of doing that, I will... oh, wait, let me close this up first. So while I do want to talk about the seasonal stuff and give my full review coming up soon for the game, and of course tips and tricks and tactics for those of you who are starting out in Season 2, etc., that is going to be coming out soon. So go ahead and make sure to subscribe to the channel. So that way you can be part of that and check out the live stream if you want to watch it as soon as possible. Consider joining a member. Members get access to my edited videos a day ahead of time and support the channel and make it all possible. But with all that said, I've been Ashtarothi, the voice of New Eden. And until next time, I'll see you in space. Thank you, guys. All right. So, yeah, Mr. YouTube, I don't know what you mean by that silly. Which part is silly? So 2 other things that I've been thinking about doing is EVE Frontier. I was going to cover the EVE Frontier white page. And then, no, dude, come on. Sorry, my son's home. Oops. I was going to cover the EVE Frontier white page, but I want to give that plenty of time, and that's going to be a big chunk. Maybe the new season will make the game better. I think it will, and I hope it does. I'm still playing it. I'm happy with my purchases. I think it's overall pretty good. I hope that CCP learns from their mistakes and dodges any kind of bullets. I think that they've had a lot of, like, growing pains as they come out, but yeah. Wait. Okay. Any rate, so let's talk a little bit about the channel. Every year I kind of think about at the end of the year, you know, what I'm doing and how I can step things up. So there's a few things that I'd like to do this year and focus on. 2 years ago, we did Should You Start EVE in 2023? In a year ago, I started Kato Ash, where we had a brand new character, where I tried out newer stuff and showed off how to get into stuff with Kato Ash, which I thought was very successful and we've all really enjoyed. But now I've been making these videos for enough time. We have a bunch of tutorial videos, but they're all pretty old at this point. And, you know, I've always had complaints about my 6.5 hour long EVE Master course for fitting, as it's very, very long. And so what I think this year, what we're going to do is I want to try every week to produce an episode effectively in my new EVE training course, right? Where we go over everything. So like the first quite a few sessions are going to be just the Eve fitting guide broken up into different videos, right? So like week 1 is going to be just the basics of fitting. Week 2 is weapon systems. Week 3 is tanking. Week 4 is electronic warfare, etc. So that's part 1 of what I want to do this year, and what we'll be focusing on when it comes to the the live, what we record for edited video in the future. But we're still going to do all of the news and New Eden news and all that sort of stuff that we normally do. But it's just like, that's the concrete thing that I want to focus on to help make good guides for people that are not 6 hours long, that are digestible and help explain concepts, because I don't want people to have to watch a 6-hour video just to understand what the difference between projectile turrets and laser turrets are. And then in addition to that, I want to start doing I've said this before, but I'm going to start doing a meeting, or like a special stream for members, member only stream that will never, like, we won't do Eve during that because I can't necessarily do Eve during a member only stream. So we'll be doing other things, but chance to talk and touch base and maybe think about what we want to do next or whatever. But either way, I plan on taking those and putting them over on my Decanted channel, so that way we finally have content over there. Random thought before we lose it. Lore videos on player groups, goons, Eve Uni, the convocation, etc. So the problem with doing stuff about player groups is like everything's politics, right? So, like I wrote the story about the goons once, when I was writing for Crossing Zebras. It was called, The Empire of Eve from an Outsider's Perspective, I think it was. It got cited in that Down the Rabbit Hole video. But the point is that I had an opinion, like I wanted to introduce people to the idea of Goonswarm and what they have been, where they came from, etc. That could be a cool thing, but the problem is that I'm very nervous about coming off as biased or sound like I'm promoting a group or not promoting a group, talking bad or good about a group by talking about its history, and players get really riled up. So maybe, but I don't know if I could make a dedicated video about it, because yeah, I don't know. But it is what it is. Anywho, but let me know what you guys think. What sort of topics should I cover this year? Next time we should be covering the Eve Frontier white paper and that basics guide. Although tomorrow is Tuesday, and it's the first Tuesday after the New Year's. So there's a pretty decent chance that tomorrow there's going to be some crazy news to talk about. But whatever it happens to be, as long as you guys are back here, I will be here talking about it all. But until then, here's the final one. I've been Ashtarothi. I've been playing this game since 2010, talking about it since 2012, and I'm here to put Eve into context for you, my fellow Empyreans. Thank you guys so much for coming. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing. Thank you for supporting me through all of this. This is my thing. This is how I feed my pets and boy and myself. So I really appreciate any support that you guys give. I work for you guys. I'm not sponsored or anything like that. So, yeah. So don't forget to like the stream, share it with somebody else, because that's how we get people to know more about EVE Online, increase people's literacy, which is what we're trying to do, make a better EVE Online by making a better EVE player base. But I've been Ashtarothi. Oh, also more guides for EVE Galaxy Conquest coming out soon too, including new ship guides, etc. I've been Ashtarothi, the voice of New Eden. Until next time, I'll see you in space. Thanks, Punch. it's Mini Ash.
What's up? How's it going?
So this is the last day of his winter break. But oh, and there's Puppy. She wanted to say hi too, but I wanted you guys to say hi. He's been one of the things since I got him here, I'm going to embarrass him. He's been working on learning coding and
That's
also
not embarrassing.
and game development. So he just worked on the first person shooter in Unity, and he's been working on that, and I'm really proud of him. So maybe we'll do more streams with him someday soon. You guys want more Ash? Let me know.
Bye.
Bye.